Hey, what's up? It's Comic95, the Savior. So for this video, I want to talk to you guys about 25 things that I personally feel are overrated in Japan. So of course, as always, this is just my personal opinion. Everyone's free to think and believe whatever they want to. Some things that I personally find to be overrated, other people here absolutely love to death. And pretty much everything on this list, which is why I said overrated, and not just things that I don't like, they're things that people brag about Japan. Like say, oh, Japan is so great, I want to see this, I want to do that. And after actually being here, you're like, yeah, I don't see what's the big deal about it. So let's get started without making this any longer. I will go into more detail about all 25 of these things on my blog, and you can read that at comic95.com. I will have all 25 things listed there, and I'll go into more detail about what I'm talking about, but again, trying to keep this video from being too long, so I'll just read them off as we go. So I actually have my computer right here with me, and let's start. So, number 1. Bullet trains. So bullet trains in Japan, everybody talks about how great they are, but in actuality, while they are fast, to me it's really comparable to the Amtrak in my opinion, just without so many stops. There's less stops. It's more expensive considering how short of a distance you're actually going. And the huge downside is you don't actually get a guaranteed seat. I cannot imagine that in America. Imagine paying for an Amtrak ticket and there being no guarantee that you'll actually have a seat. While of course if you're going somewhere that's not a really popular destination and you're going during work hours outside of a holiday, like on a weekday, it's not Golden Week or whatever, it's pretty easy to secure a seat, but you never know, and especially if you're traveling during the holidays like most people that live and work here or study or whatever, you're probably not going to have a seat unless you pay to reserve one. The good thing is you have flexibility. If you happen to be sitting next to a jerk or someone that stinks or that's weird, you can move. But yeah, I hate the fact that I've never gotten on that train without getting a reserved seat because I would be pretty pissed. Because unlike taking a normal train, you're probably going to be on that train for at least 2, if not 3 to 6 hours standing. Now, of course, you can get lucky and get a seat, but more than likely if you're standing, you're not going to be the only person. So even as seats do become available, there's only going to be maybe, 1 to 2 stops before you actually get off the train, and somebody else is probably going to take that seat before you can actually get to it unless you are lucky. So yeah, bullet trains are overrated in my opinion. Number 2, cherry blossom season. Oh my god, now this is like a really big one. I actually cringe so much whenever I see people like taking pictures of like cherry blossom trees in America and like talking about Japan with them. I totally understand you guys' love and admiration for them because I thought that I was really gonna like them too before I actually came here. But after actually being in Japan and I've gone on some picnics and I've gone on dates with my boyfriend, I do like them. They're beautiful. It's nice to take the little pictures and whatnot. But in actuality, it's really boring. It's really cold outside. And obviously, as someone that doesn't like bugs, yeah, that's not really nice either. Japanese people also don't normally take actual blankets. They use little like blue waterproof type things, which makes sense. And actually remove their shoes, which makes a lot of sense too. I don't know if people do that in America, but I personally never experienced that. Back on subject, yeah, it's really overrated and it's really, really crowded. You can't even normally, unless you like live in Osaka, if you live in Tokyo, you're not going to really be able to get underneath a tree. There's going to be way too many people there, way too many tourists, way too many Japanese people. Everyone is going to be crowded around you. There's going to be people singing karaoke. It's too much of a mess going on. It's not enjoyable. People are pulling the cherry blossoms down from the trees and everyone's trying to take their Instagram pictures. It's not a really nice or fun thing to do. And to me, it's something that you just want to experience one time and you never do it again. Very comparable to if you live in New York, how, either you've never gone to the New Year countdown or you went one time and that is more than enough. I feel the same way, about Chicago, with seeing the fireworks, at Navy Pier, etc. You do it one time and it's like, it ain't worth going through all of this mess again. Or more comparable, I forgot where they used to have the fireworks back in the day, but you get what I'm saying. It's overrated. It's too crowded. You can't really enjoy it. It's too loud. The weather is normally bad. It's normally rainy or cold, and people ruin the trees. So yeah, it's nice aesthetically to take pictures and make people think your life was all great being in Japan, but in actuality, you're not really having that much fun. It's really boring. It's just a pink tree at the end of the day. Number 3, super toilets. So people really like to brag about the electronic toilets here in Japan, but in actuality, most bathrooms inside of houses actually don't have them. Japanese homes are very old and outdated. And because people normally get their entire bathrooms wet when they take their showers and whatnot, there are actually no sockets in them for obvious reasons, because that would be a fire hazard. And plus the bathrooms are really small, so even if you're someone who handles all their business in the bathtub and you don't like to dump the bucket of water on you and suds up outside of the tub, like I honestly don't most of the time. At least when my boyfriend's not here, because he would kill me. But back on subject. Yeah. They don't normally use those. They're nice to use, I won't lie, but you only normally get to experience this if you're inside of a newer home or if you've personally gone out of your way to buy one. And even if you want one, like for example at my place, I have no sockets inside my bathrooms. Even if I wanted an electric toilet seat, which mind you, it's the toilet seat, not the actual toilet that's electric. It just plugs into the wall. It wastes electricity, which arguably, depending on who you're talking to, electricity in Japan can be expensive, but it hasn't been in my personal experience and opinion. I had much higher electric bills in America. To me, it's very low. I normally have a $4 to $10 bill here, unless I keep my AC on. Yeah, they're not really that commonly used or seen. And while it is kind of nice, in actuality, I kind of don't like them, because to be honest, if you're doing things as you should be, which is putting down toilet paper on the toilet seat and not sitting on the seat with your bare bottom, you're not going to really get the warming benefits of the seat to begin with, or at least not as much as you should be. And number two, I feel like it also makes the seats dirtier. As I mentioned before, Japanese people don't normally wash their hands to begin with when doing anything nasty, and the bathroom is no exception to that. And on top of that, I feel like the fact that there's like cleaner in the bathroom, I think most people feel like the toilets are cleaner than they really are when they're not. But yeah, long story short, toilets are overrated. They're not all that great. It's nice to be able to use, especially if you're on your period, the little bitty thing. But we ain't finna talk about that, TMI. I'll talk about this more on my blog. I feel like toilets are overrated here. Again, they're nice when they're at home in your own personal private dwelling. But when it comes to being in public, I have very mixed feelings towards, especially the noisemaker thing. It just draws attention to the fact that you're taking a shit. You're better off just taking a crap than playing some loud lullaby, whatever type of music that they have, which is super obvious and doesn't really mask anything. And normally they're auto, whatever, so they come out automatically, which can make it more embarrassing. So yeah. Number 4, Pocky. I personally teach at school, and I have never had even one student come to school with Pocky. Pocky is not really that popular. I feel like it's really a thing more so with foreigners, and I feel like it's like maybe a childhood old type snack type thing. I've never met a Japanese person that buys it, that likes it, that talks about it. It seems to be like a souvenir that people like to buy for their foreign friends, and that foreigners like to buy to bring back to their home countries, especially people that come from Asia, I noticed. So yeah, Pocky's overrated. It really doesn't taste that good. I will admit they obviously do have more flavors here than they have in America, but you ain't missing out on nothing. Number 5, crazy flavored Kit Kats. And I've kind of already talked about both of these before, but again, new video, different kind of list. Yes, the Kit Kats here, once again, I've never seen a Japanese person purchase one before. They're not really that popular here. Again, like I said, it's really a matter of foreigners and people buying, even Japanese people buying them as souvenirs. For example, when my boyfriend went to America, he actually bought green tea Kit Kats, but I've never seen my boyfriend eat them on his own, and he's never bought them for like even the house. We don't eat them here. It's not just my relationship. I would say this for most people. Are they good? To some people they are. Personally, don't like them. But I'm not just talking about me. They're just overrated. They're not all that. There's other candies here, and Kit Kats, Pocky. There's better things in Japan. Number 6, foreigner-friendly companies. So as I said before, pretty much any company here that accommodates foreigners by having English or telling you that they rent to or do whatever for foreigners, they're going to charge you an extra fee just because they have English available and because they can. They know how insecure and how, shy you are about doing stuff, and that you'll underestimate your power and ability as a foreigner, and that you will settle for their companies and businesses. They're normally overpriced, provide you with bad, half-ass service, and it's not really worth it. You're gonna pay more, get worse service, and ultimately get cheated. It comes with a price tag. Whenever it is anything besides a restaurant, you're gonna pay for it. I'm sorry, you guys, I'm losing track of my numbers. I think I am on number 7 now. So anyway, number 7, Akihabara, aka Akiba. So overrated. So people that normally like the otaku side of Japan, they want to come to Japan for all the anime, video games, etc. type stuff. It's nice to go to at first, but to be honest, Electric Town and stuff is going to get really old really fast. It's something that you can go to, I would say, no more than twice, but maybe once, and it's gonna get really old. It's just full of maid cafes and full of Asian and white foreigners just wearing random costumes, and you don't really see a lot of Japanese people dressed this way. It's normally just foreigners that look kind of ridiculous, and yeah, it's a lot of overpriced used like collectible items too. So you can buy like used figurines and things like that, but they're charging more just because they know it's a tourist area. It's just maid cafes. It's just a few themed restaurants, which, mind you, I'll get on that in another number, those are overrated too. It's not really much to do. You can go to those same arcades anywhere else in Japan. It's nothing special. I won't even say it's anything nice to look at. There aren't really a lot of good photogenic like areas. There's a few things that you could take pictures of, and to be totally honest, I had the best yakiniku there at the train station. But other than that, yeah, or the second best yakiniku that I had the best in Kyoto. But anyway, you're not really missing out on anything, and it'll get old really fast. You're not gonna, just go there and see a ton of cosplayers, besides of course the girls that work at maid cafes like how I used to, and that is also overrated. Number 8, Shibuya. Shibuya is very boring. All you're gonna see is literally like 10 love hotels up a hill where there's clearly people that are prostitutes and pimps and yakuza, whatever. Everybody's shy and embarrassed to be seen in that area. There's going to be people pretending like they're drunk to try to look cute. You're going to see some drunk, passed out people, and that'll probably never get old. It'll shock you every time. Even though to me it does kind of get, it's like, I'm used to it now. But still, I always look nevertheless. There's nothing to really do. Shibuya Crossing, super boring. You go there, it's like, oh wow, so many people. Oh my gosh, everybody's going at the same time. And then it's like, okay, nice. There isn't really much to do. There's literally everything in Shibuya and Akihabara is right around the train station, and that's it. It is like the equivalent of Times Square in New York. People, take pictures of New York, and they always take all the pictures in that one little area in Times Square. But if you've ever really been to New York, ever really lived there ain't really nothing to do there. It's just like any other state, any other city in the entire world. People, glamorize Japan and make it seem like, oh, this is everywhere in Japan. But to be honest, it's really not. And it gets old very fast, boring very fast. But again, just my own 2 cents. To me, it's not that this stuff is bad. It's just overrated. Not that great. Number 9, Japanese street fashion. Or shall I say Japanese fashion. So while I am someone that personally loves this style to death, and I still do while I don't actually wear it, street fashion, Japanese fashion that you guys like to call it, Japanese people don't wear that stuff. I've talked about that before. You are going to look like a clown if you go outside dressing like that. You see these little Instagram accounts or whatever, but they're just targeted towards foreigners, and they're normally ran by foreigners to show people the cool, exotic, and weird side of Japan. Nobody dresses like that. You're not going to really get any legitimate modeling jobs from that. You're probably going to land a couple of gigs if you're actually attractive, but that's going to be it at best, which is only going to pay you a few $100s. And if you're lucky, you might get something for $1,000 or $2,000. You're not going to make a living off of it. While of course I don't recommend, just doing what other people do, I do recommend being yourself and doing what you want to do. The reality is, if you're coming to Japan thinking that you're going to find acceptance and finally be able to wear your Lolita stuff, you're actually going to probably stand out a lot more than you would in America by being a foreigner trying to do that in Japan. After you leave outside of, the Harajuku area, nobody wears that shit. Japanese girls wear like 80s mom jeans and overalls. That's what girls wear. They don't wear all that Decada, whatever type stuff. You guys missed that wave. That was like 90s, early 2000s Harajuku fashion. Even if you go to Harajuku now, you generally just see a handful of people dressed like that. And they normally still get a lot of stares and attention. This is not normal style. This is not Japanese fashion. Japanese girls like to wear like 80s, 90s, modest type stuff. Not these goth rock Lolita type things. And mind you, these fashions are normally associated with high schoolers and adults who are basically not successful, don't have careers, because if you did, you wouldn't be able to wear pink hair, have tattoos, all of these piercings, and all the other type of stuff. It's glamorized. It's glamorized and all made up and whatever for people to like on Instagram. And some people, are really comfortable doing this stuff, and they, never stopped ever since the 2000s or whatever. Even for new young people, like people that are my age and whatnot, that would have been too young in, the early 2000s to have even known about Japan, or if they're Japanese, to have been a part of those, fashions and whatnot. They have picked them up now, but they're not popular at all, you guys. I promise you are going to look like a clown. It's not cool, and it's not really Japanese fashion. That is as Japanese as it is American to wear cowboy hats and boots. Sure, there's people that do that stuff, but how often do you go outside and see somebody wearing a cowboy hat with cowboy boots and, with the gun in their pocket, have the whole look going on? Maybe the gun part, but you know what I mean. It's not really an American thing. It's American fashion, right? But we don't wear that stuff. Same thing goes for Japan. They do not go outside wearing, these Lolita and goth and rock punk star type. They don't do that type of stuff, I promise you. And to be totally honest, most of the Japanese stuff here isn't really cute. A lot of the cute stuff is actually the alternative fashion stuff that people don't really wear. As far as normal and regular clothing goes, I would say it looks very old ladyish and is not very flattering, especially for someone that has curves. Even for women that have, thin figures and whatnot, it just makes them look even more boxed and rectangular. If you've ever seen a Japanese girl wearing those mom jeans, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It makes their bodies look really, really flat, like their butts and everything. It's just really unappealing. But again, different culture, different country. I ain't here to body shame. I'm just saying it like it is. And to me, for those of you guys that worship Japanese fashion, it's very overrated. It is not very flattering. And the things that you do like about Japan, Japan no longer does. You kind of missed that wave. Like I said, Americans don't wear cowboy boots and hats. Japanese people do not go outside wearing Lolita and rock fashion, etc. And really, they never did. That's all just in Harajuku. And it's a street, subculture type thing. Everyone in Harajuku isn't wearing that mess. Shrines and temples. So what are we on? We're on number 10. So shrines and temples. I love going to these places, but to be honest, there's not really much to do there. They're normally just trying to treat people and sell them, good luck charms, etc., and have your fortune told. Little things like that. Of course, you can go there for prayer and things, but again, it's really something that you just need to experience a few times, go to a few different places, but they're ultimately just tourist scams and markets. They try to sell you street food, they try to sell you charms to get rid of, these bad, whatever type, I don't even know what to call them, that could be in your life or whatever. I've had some really interesting fortunes told, ended up being right, such as predicting that my relationship was going to end badly. But we'll talk about that in another video. Anyway, they're overrated. They're not really all that great. People say, oh, I love the shrines and temples. They're nice to look at, you guys, but in actuality, it's just gravel with a bell and a fountain in which people are throwing money into and praying to some god. So I ain't gonna get into religious talk with you guys. Just saying, it's nice to look at. I wouldn't say to not do it, but it is overrated. It ain't really all that great. You're not gonna stay in Japan your whole life and be like, oh my god, I love shrines and temples. You're just not, trust me. Number 11, Japanese manners. So as I've said before, people like to brag about how polite and kind Japanese people are, but in actuality, 90% of it is all just fake and all for show. They will still talk shit about you to your face in Japanese if they're sitting across from you on the train. They will record you, take videos of you, they will laugh at you, they will talk about you behind your back. It's all just out of formality. As I've said before, it's the equivalent of in America, how we're like, hey, how are you? How's your day going? Or, it's nice to meet you. I don't really feel like it's nice to meet you. I don't give a fuck about how your day is going. It's just out of formality. I'm just saying what I've been taught to say. It's just the way that we talk. Same thing goes for them. Their bowing, their Japanese politeness and manners. It's all fake. They simply want to avoid confrontation and avoid having arguments and having bad feelings or, verbal exchanges with people. It's just their culture. They're not really these super robotic, nice people, like how people like to make them out to be. They simply believe in avoiding confrontation and avoiding having arguments like how a normal adult really kind of should. They still pick their nose, pick their ears, eat their boogers, scratch their ass in public without any shame. I'm not even kidding you. Totally normal, totally acceptable here. So if we want to talk about manners, how about we talk about those manners? Just saying. That's not my numbers. Number 12, they're art stores. If you're someone that likes to draw and or that likes crafts, you will be extremely disappointed coming to Japan. While I have been to lots of stores that specifically just sell art stuff, they're not easy to find and they don't really have that great of a variety, and I would say the pigmentations aren't that great either. I found much better stuff in my home country in America, and because Japan is the land of art in my opinion, when you think of art, I normally think of Japan. Not just anime, but I feel like they're great painters and they're good at coloring and digital art, etc. with everything. I'm very, very disappointed with the art that they have here. Not actual art, but I mean like the art supply stores and even their craft stores. I love to sew and I love to paint, and I have not been able to find good quality material, and there are a lot of different colors to choose from. Normally sections are very small and there aren't really, a lot of different things to even choose from. There's not a lot of materials, there's not a lot of colors, there aren't a lot of art stores, and they're normally very expensive too. So that was very disappointing. I oftentimes see people like brag about, oh, Japanese art supplies or school supplies, etc. It ain't nothing special. Trust me, there's much better stuff in your home country at Joann's, Michael's, even Walmart and Target sells more and better stuff than Japan, in my own opinion. It's not that the stuff here is bad, it's just that it's overrated. Number 13, Uniqlo. Now, while I have praised Uniqlo in the past, especially for people that are plus size and that wear larger sizes and cannot buy, normal Japanese clothes with ease, and I personally still buy stuff there, regardless. But beyond that, so the Uniqlo stores here don't have a large selection of things to choose from. Their clothing is very plain, very simple, and while you can, mix and match stuff easily and the stuff isn't too pricey, it's very similar to Old Navy, which if you grew up poor like me, Old Navy was expensive. But yeah, it's not really that great. But people brag about Uniqlo like it's like the holy grail in America. They just recently started opening up a bunch of them over the past, I want to say 5-ish years. For example, I remember before I left for Japan, they had just opened up, I think 2 or 3 of them in Chicago, and people were bragging about it on the news about how great the store is going to be and how it's a Japanese store, blah blah blah. Yeah, Uniqlo isn't like that. They don't have much to sell. They have a much smaller selection than Old Navy. Old Navy actually has a lot of different clothing. Uniqlo does not. If you go to a larger store, they do have more things to choose from, but again, all of their stores really sell very plain Jane type stuff, nothing really brag worthy, and the quality is good, I guess, for the price, but again, it's comparable to Old Navy. It's not really that great of a store. It's overrated. Number 14, convenience stores. While convenience stores do allow you to do some things that you can't do in my home country, such as pay your bills, at least not to my knowledge, they don't sell nearly as much as a store like Walgreens or even 7-Eleven in America does. They are convenient, kind of, because they're everywhere. But to be honest, grocery stores are generally not too far away from convenience stores for the most part. There's generally a grocery store within about 10 to 15 minutes of wherever you are living. So I would say it's pretty much on par with a convenience store. If you live in Tokyo, there's obviously more convenience stores, so you can have a convenience store that's literally 2 to 3 minutes away from your front door, which is great. Where I currently live, the closest convenience store to me is 5 minutes away, and I have multiple ones if I go, in the opposite direction, a couple more minutes. But yeah, they're overrated. They generally sell, once again, overpriced stuff, just like how they would in America. They don't have a large selection to choose from, and they're basically no different than any old regular convenience store. There's nothing really impressive about them. Sure, they have an ATM. Sure, you can buy something to eat or drink fast. I can do that at 7-Eleven in America too. No real difference, if you ask me. Number 15, hospitals in Japan. Now, while of course the health insurance here is very affordable and great, I will give them props on that, because in America I spent pretty much my entire life not having insurance. But I must say, as far as health insurance goes in Japan, while that's nice, hospitals and whatnot, they have very old, outdated equipment for starts, and you normally are seen, right away. They don't normally take a long time to, take care of you, unlike America as well. So there's pros to this, of course. But I feel like people brag about them being so great and so futuristic when they're not. They have old, outdated equipment. The way that they even test to see what's wrong with you is very outdated, and it seems like they pretty much just guess, and they use the WebMD, it seems like, to diagnose you with anything. I've had pneumonia here twice, strep throat twice, I've had multiple colds, and every time I've gone to the hospital, they pretty much seem like they're scratching their head to try to figure out what's wrong with me, and they just ultimately say whatever I guessed I had. I don't even know if I legitimately had pneumonia. I just brought it up as a possibility, and they're like, do you have asthma? Okay, yep, it's definitely pneumonia.
This is the worst case of bully I have ever seen.
What? No!
I'll do everything known to medical science. Aha! Nothing to worry about. But there's nothing I can do.
And it's okay, so That's what I feel like, doctors and whatnot do here. I feel like they don't really like know what they're doing a lot of the time, which is really sad to say. But like I said, it's just my own personal opinion. Also, while I'm on the topic of this, I also don't like that they don't like check your temperature by like having you like put a thermometer or whatever in your mouth, which I notice is more sanitary. They actually put it underneath your armpit to do it all the time, and they like stick this really like painful stick up your nose to like get a sample to like try to see what you have or something. It's painful and it scares the crap out of you guys. Thankfully, I read about this before it happened, and I'll make a video talking about this one day. I was supposed to make this a year ago, but yeah, I feel like they do a lot of old, outdated stuff, and I feel like their doctors aren't really all that qualified. Like I think they're like scared because you're a foreigner in one sense, but at the same time, I also feel like they really just don't know what they're doing too. They're just like, oh, you think you have this? Okay, yep, you have that. We're gonna give you medicine for it. So, number 16, Roppongi. A lot of people think this is like the really great nightlife like area, but to be totally honest, I actually find that nightlife in Shibuya is a lot better than Roppongi, and not just that, it's kind of boring. So this is another area that's similar to Ginza, where it's a lot of rich people and whatnot that live there. But to be honest, if I were rich, I would much rather spend my money in Ginza because there's like nothing to look at in Roppongi. It's very crowded, it's very overrated, it's full of cafes and restaurants that are so. And again, there isn't really anything to do there. There's not many things to take pictures of. It's something like where you go there once or twice, and that's kind of it. There's nothing to look at, nothing to do. There's good food everywhere in Japan. There's nothing special about Roppongi. I'm sorry, just saying it how it is. Oh, and while we're on the topic, it is also Gaijin Hunter Center. That is where people go when they are specifically seeking out a foreigner, because there's a ton of embassies there, and foreigners are known to be at the clubs and whatnot in that area. So if you're trying to avoid someone using you for English or sex or like an experiment or their own fetishy needs, that is the last place you probably want to go. Number 17, Christmas in Japan. While of course Christmas, is personally my favorite holiday, I feel like it's very overrated. A lot of guys, I won't really say a lot, enough of them kind of freak out about trying to have a date for Christmas. I feel like older guys do, because when I've dated younger guys, they didn't really care too much about what we did or didn't do on Christmas. But when I've gone on dates with older guys, like even people that I wasn't even dating that were talking to me, it was very obvious they were trying to secure their Christmas date. And like I've even had friends and whatnot that I've had to turn down, and I hurt their little feelings. I actually lost a friend over that, because I had to cancel our Christmas plans, which I was wrong for that, but he didn't plan it properly. You don't tell somebody that you have plans with them a month in advance and then try to message them like the day before. It's like, no. But anyway, so yeah, I feel like it's overrated. The whole Christmas light show, it's nice, but it's really rushed, really crowded. You can't really see much of anything. You're having to quickly move along. And then as far as, the actual decorations, there aren't really a lot of decorations here in Japan. There's a good amount of places that have like actual shows, but it's nothing really fancy. I feel like you see better decorations in other countries. And not just that, as far as KFC goes, normally you're not going to be able to get a bucket unless you called them and reserved in advance. KFC in Japan ultimately sucks. I do like their boneless chicken, but it's hit or miss with them. 9 times out of 10, it's soggy. They don't cook it properly. I think they don't let the grease or whatever they cook it in heat up enough. It's normally soggy and falling apart. The seasoning and flavoring is okay, but it ain't worth all the money you have to pay, and it's very expensive here in Japan in comparison to America. It's not worth it. Christmas in America is a million times better than Christmas in Japan. Number 18, American restaurants in Japan. So more so I'm talking about fast food places like Starbucks, McDonald's, and Burger King. People like to brag about their secret menus, even places like Wendy's. While my taste buds have changed and I've gotten used to the stuff here, it really doesn't taste as good as it does in America. And the little special menu items aren't really great. There's literally nothing on any of the menus here that I wish we had in America. I can't name not one item. Everything here in Japan either tastes the same or it doesn't taste as good as what we have available in America. And the little special items like the Sakura, frappuccinos and whatnot, they don't taste good, you guys. If they sold them in America, people would literally just buy them to take an Instagram picture with them, but people would not be requesting that they keep it on the menu because it's so delicious. It's not. It's overrated. It's just Instagram picture worthy. but it's not something that actually tastes good. It just looks pretty. And speaking of looking pretty, number 19, themed restaurants and cafes. While I've personally gone to them, and you can see my videos now on my channel, they're not really good. The food and drinks are really overpriced. The atmosphere is normally fun and exciting and whatnot, but you're really just paying for the atmosphere. The food is garbage, the drinks are garbage, it's overpriced, and you're normally going to be rushed if it's, during a busy, peak time, or you're in a very touristy area, so you can't even really enjoy it. And normally the staff is also burnt out and having to put on a whole show for you, so they're normally not very nice either. While I've personally had mostly good experiences, I've definitely had some bad ones where the staff was very irritated and agitated and just wanted to take their asses home, and you can tell that they don't really like foreigners. But again, that's not how most of them are. Most of the restaurant staff is really nice, but the food is garbage, the drinks is garbage, and yeah, they're overrated. Number 20, dating in Japan. A lot of people dream of having a Japanese husband or a Japanese wife, and the reality is if you actually lived here and actually dated someone that's Japanese, especially more than one person, you will find that they are absolutely nothing like the dumb stereotypes that you have for them. They're not going to be this submissive, China, Asian doll, whatever type thing. Sorry to say China, but that's what we call it in America. Like, you call them China doll, whatever type thing. They're not going to be like that type of girl or whatever. She is going to be just as passive aggressive, just as demanding, just as much of a gold digger as the white girl that you call yourself running away from in the US or in Europe. They do the same stuff here. Look at any forum talking about marriage in Japan, or divorce I should say, and you will see nothing but white guys talking about how their wife wasn't giving them sex, or about how she's crazy and stalking him and all type of weird and crazy stuff. Do not believe in all of these little fantasy fairy tales that you've gotten from porn and anime. Same thing goes for you girls. Unless you're looking for a Sasuke type guy, which I know some people do like, you're not going to really be all that satisfied if you're coming to Japan and you have all of these stereotypes in your mind as to what you want your husbando to act like. You're going to deal with a lot of passive aggressiveness, having to play charades and figure out what's wrong, and it's so much to go through with the dating process. And again, all of the stereotypes that you have for being submissive and this guy that just hands you his paycheck, you ain't finna have all of that. You are going to have a lot of fights, a lot of arguments, and things are not going to always be pretty. And trust me, if you are not arguing, you're not fighting, and everything seems perfect in your relationship, more than likely, either you guys are both really being fake with each other, or he's probably cheating on you, he or she. There's a lot of crap that goes on. I am not personally married. Excuse me, I need to blow my nose. I'm not personally married because I know that I'm not ready to be, and I want to wait until I feel like it's appropriate. And I want my boyfriend to propose to me. I absolutely do not understand why or how people can jump into something because something stupid like that. That is the equivalent to saying I like black women because I want a girl that can twerk for me. And I have plenty of guys that have sent me stupid messages like that too, or that think I can do stuff to them, and it's like, oh, you're gonna be in for a surprise because yeah, I can't. And so beyond just that, I feel like this is more of a problem with men. I feel like most women have a good understanding as to what Japanese guys are like, but mostly for men, they have this illusion in their mind where they feel like Japanese women are these superior beings, and white girls are just these fat monsters that just use their money. And it's like Japanese girls do the exact same thing. They'll use you for a mixed kid, take your wallet, and run. And I would say that situation's a lot worse than in your country because Japan is not going to back you up. They will literally kidnap your kids and you can't do anything about it. The laws here are totally different. I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I have other videos to talk about this, and I will make a blog post on it later. But yeah, dating is overrated here. It takes a lot of work. It's very stressful, and you have to really love your partner in order to make it work with them. You are going to get over your fetish. You're going to get over the fascination with, oh my god, I have a Japanese boyfriend, or I have a Japanese wife or girlfriend, husband, whatever. It's all going to get old once you realize I'm dating a human being that has these crazy cultural differences. Oh my god, you irritate the crap out of me. And yeah, you're going to have to really fight to make it work. Number 21, cosplay and anime conventions. I was super disappointed. Most of the cosplayers here are really mediocre and amateur. They're a lot worse than the ones in America, and while cosplayers are not jerks and assholes like the American ones, they will not critique you or complain like, oh, look, you're too black, you're too fat to do this. Nobody says or does that stuff here. They don't even understand that concept that was clearly started by racist people in America or Europe or whatever country. In Japan, they don't care how dark, how fat, how whatever you are. If your cosplay looks nice, people compliment you and like it. But to be honest, foreigners have much better cosplays, whether they're, some Asian girl from China or from the Philippines or Vietnam or wherever country they're from, or in America. Foreigners cosplay a lot better than Japanese people do. Japanese people normally don't spend a ton of money on their costumes, despite the little YouTube videos that you've seen and the blog posts that you've read. No, they don't. They normally wear really cheap costumes, and the ones that actually look really nice that you see are probably not Japanese, but they're actually Chinese. Cosplay, anime conventions, they're cool to go to, but they're overrated, and you see a lot better costumes in America than you will in Japan. Go figure. Now I know you're gonna be like, what? Yes, Japanese food is very overrated. And I'm not just talking about sushi, but I mean everything. So Japanese people pretty much say like, oh, foreigners just eat meat and potatoes. But it's like, yeah, you guys just eat pickled vegetables and rice. And then they'll like sprinkle, like they'll take a little itty bitty piece of like a peasant's piece of meat. They'll chop it up, throw some wine over it, or shall I say sake. They'll throw some sake over it and chop it up over plain rice and call that a meal. And I'm not gonna lie, I've gotten used to eating that there. But in America, oh my god, people would lose it. Restaurants would have 1-star reviews if they were trying to serve you that type of stuff. My taste buds have changed, and now I'm used to eating this stuff, and I find it very delicious. But when I first came here, I didn't like a lot of the stuff that I ate, especially when it came to drinks. I really didn't like tea or coffee, as somebody asked me in a comment on another video, and milk. I had to really adapt or change. Like now I feel kind of weird when I eat American stuff. Like now my favorite candies like Reese's and Snickers, they taste too sugary for me. I still love hot stuff, but I can't really eat the candy bars that I used to really like how I used to. So yeah, I feel like the food here is really overrated. It's repetitive just like any country. Every country has the same 3 to 5 dishes and they just eat the same thing. Japanese food is the exact same. They eat the same stuff over and over again. And just like how our dishes consist of mostly meat, theirs is mostly rice, pickled vegetables for God knows what reason. But yeah, overrated. It ain't all that. It looks pretty, but it normally just tastes okay. Or it's good, but it's like, I would still prefer American food any day. Sorry, just being real. Number 23, college in Japan. So a lot of people dream about coming here for school, but in actuality, college in Japan is really no different than in your home country. It's very boring, and to be honest, I actually find that college here is kind of lacking something. I feel like most of the classes here aren't really that intriguing and interesting unless it's something that deals with like history or technology. But when it comes to other subjects and whatnot, I feel like, even with history sometimes too, I feel like I'm not getting a real like quality education being here, and you're really just paying to be in Japan, whereas the actual school here is nothing great. Ignore all the little dumb stereotypes about Asians being smart, blah, blah, blah. College in Japan is actually a lot easier than in America, believe it or not. In fact, that's the reason why American degrees are prized in Japan over Japanese ones, because they know that it's more difficult. School in Japan is pretty much based on your attendance once you get to college, and of course your completion of the end project for the end of your semester. Similar to America, but your attendance has a lot more to do with your grade than actual overall class participation and homework, because you won't really have a ton of that. This is like your vacation and break time before you actually start the real work world, and they're very, very lenient with their grading scale. Generally something as low as like, an 85 can be considered as an A. It's a very lenient grading scale. And again, school is really overpriced. You're just going to put yourself in a ton of debt to get here. I won't tell you not to come here because I did and I'm currently still going to school. I would be a hypocrite. But I am saying that it is overrated. It's not all that it's chalked up to be. And most of the people that you're going to meet in college are just trying to experience having sex with you, or they're trying to use you for free English. I get that all the time, every day, to this very day, you guys. So yeah, it ain't really all that. You're not missing out on nothing if you did not go to school here, or if you can't afford to do so. Save yourself money, save yourself time. You'll still experience the same Japan if you come here at a later time. Number 24, school lunches in Japan. You've probably seen a ton of videos of them bragging about how school lunches are, but in actuality, the lunches here, because they are homemade-ish, they're normally cold. They're not warm, they're not hot like how at least our microwaved MSG, preservative-filled ones are in America. They normally are 90% rice and some type of pickled vegetable, once again, with a very small peasant's piece of meat that has been chopped up and breaded, and it's normally like a type of soggy piece of chicken or fish over clumped up, forgot the name of rice cooker rice. Nothing really special or fancy. And if you work at a school like how I do, your students actually will not really want to finish their food all the time. So normally, since I work with younger kids, we have to try to get them to eat it by saying, hey, if you finish, you can have dessert, which is basically a piece of fruit. They don't normally want to finish eating all of that rice or all of that food. So you kind of have to encourage them and or make them. We do waste food. They do not eat every grain of rice like how you see in those videos and whatnot. And older kids are also just as picky. Some students bring their own lunch, of course. But yeah, it's really not that fancy like how they try to make them seem. Of course, they're safer for you to eat because it's not all of that crap that we eat in America. But to be honest, they still use preservatives and things like that to make these meals. And they're normally not a good temperature to eat at. They're normally cold or room temperature. I would much rather have, those mozzarella sticks that are piping hot from out of the microwave than eat room temperature cold bentos for lunch. Just saying, my own 2 cents. Lunches in Japan, overrated. And last but of course not least, number 25, Japanese beauty products. So people rave on and on about how great Japanese making beauty products are, but in actuality, it's not. Most of what girls use here is called plastic surgery, aka cosmetic surgery. People get Botox, skin whitening, etc., double eyelid surgery, all that type of stuff here. That's what they use to make their skin look good. And of course, people use whitening creams just like pretty much anywhere else in Asia. Do all girls do this stuff? Yeah, most of them actually do. But do all of them? No, they don't. Of course, there's girls that are naturally beautiful, that have naturally pale skin, if that's your standard of beauty, which I'm not throwing any shade. I find nothing wrong with people that choose to bleach their skin because a lot of people choose to tan their skin. Why can't you bleach? Just my own 2 cents. But no shade. I'm simply saying I don't find their makeup to be great. It normally lacks shades, it normally lacks coverage. Coverage is normally very sheer, or it's not really where it matches anyone's complexion. It's normally either too white and grayish, or it's like too, I don't even know what to call it. It's not too dark, but they don't have a lot of shade options, even for Asian women. In my opinion, I find that makeup removers are better. I find that skin, cleaners and all the little cleansing oils and stuff, they're all better in America. Of course, being in Japan, I've had more experience being an adult here because I actually grew up throughout my adult years, so to speak, matured in Japan because I came here, as a young adult. I've pretty much gotten used to this stuff because I wear makeup and stuff more now than I did in America. But even in America, even with my little bit of makeup experience, I found that even the cheap drugstore products are better than a lot of the high-end stuff here in Japan. They lack coverage, the price is really expensive, the quality is so. I feel like I'm buying dollar store makeup a lot of the time here. They do have really good stuff. I absolutely love the eyeliner that I'm wearing, and I love my mascara, and I love this lip gloss. But when it comes to foundation and things like that, I prefer European and American brands over it. I feel like people brag and rave about it just because it's from Japan, when in actuality it's not only not good, but it's also expensive. It's not even worth the amount that you pay for it. So yeah, that is that. Those are my 25 things that I find to be overrated about Japan. Do keep in mind, once again, I said overrated and not bad. I do like these things, I do eat these things, go these places, take these pictures, etc. I just feel like people act like they're better than what they really are in actuality. So again, if you do come to Japan or if you're new here, please do everything on this list. Do not let my list stop you. I'm simply saying that these things are things that people brag about Japan and rave about how great and fantastic they are, when in actuality it's okay. Something you just experience once or twice, or it's something nice to do just because of the time of the year, but you probably would actually have more fun and prefer how you do things in your home country. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a comment down below. I would also appreciate it if you haven't already, if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and I have a Snapchat as well. The links for everything are in the description box as well as at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you will watch another video. Goodbye.